Benny Andersson was never the face of ABBA, yet he shaped the sound that made the band a global sensation. Behind the scenes, while others took the spotlight, Benny worked tirelessly to create the music that would define a generation. As the band's composer and musical architect, his genius lay in his ability to craft timeless pop melodies that carried deep emotional undertones. For decades, he remained a figure of quiet intensity, more comfortable in the studio than on stage, while ABBA's members, Agnetha, Anni-Frid, Björn, and Benny, became cultural icons. It was Benny who sculpted the emotional landscape of their songs. Now, years later, Benny is finally telling the untold story of the personal struggles and emotional toll that lay beneath ABBA's glittering success. The humble beginnings of Benny's music journey. Born on December 16, 1946 in Stockholm, Benny grew up in a working-class family where music was an intrinsic part of life, though not a career path. His father, a civil engineer, and grandfather, a self-taught musician, introduced him to the accordion at age 6. This humble beginning sparked a lifelong passion for music. Benny's curiosity led him to learn the piano by ear, replicating melodies after hearing them only once or twice. Unlike his peers who craved fame, Benny's interest was in understanding music's deeper mechanics. He became known not for showmanship, but for his sensitivity to tone and emotion, quickly developing a natural talent for crafting melodies that resonated with listeners. Early success with the Hep Stars. At 18, Benny joined the Swedish rock band the Hep Stars, a group that became known as the Swedish Beatles. Benny's arrival brought a new level of sophistication to their sound, and soon the band was topping the Swedish charts with hits like Sunny Girl and Wedding. These early successes not only showcased his songwriting talents, but also allowed him to hone his skills in studio arrangements and live performances. His role within the band evolved, and Benny quickly became known as the band's musical brain, developing a keen understanding of the commercial and technical aspects of the music industry. This marked the beginning of Benny's journey as both a songwriter and a producer. A life-altering meeting with Björn Ulvaeus. A pivotal moment in Benny's career came in 1966 when he met Björn Ulvaeus at a mutual friends party. At the time, Björn was a member of the folk pop group the Hootenanny Singers, and the two quickly bonded over their shared love of harmony, arrangement, and detail. Their jam session led to an immediate musical partnership that would shape the future of ABBA. Over the next few years, Benny and Björn began writing together, experimenting with various musical styles and structures. Their collaboration grew stronger, not just because of mutual respect, but because they complemented each other perfectly. Benny, the emotional composer, and Björn, the witty lyricist. ABBA, the birth of a musical legacy. In the early 1970s, Benny and Björn's songwriting partnership expanded when they joined forces with two powerful vocalists, Agnetha Fältskog and Anni-Frid Frida Lindstad. Initially known as Benny and Björn, Agnetha and Anni-Frid, the group's name was unwieldy, but their chemistry was undeniable. Their breakthrough moment came in 1974 when they won the Eurovision Song Contest with the hit song Waterloo, a glam pop anthem that launched them to international stardom. Soon after, they adopted the more memorable name ABBA, an acronym of the first letters of their names. From this moment on, Benny became more than just a pop musician. He was a sonic architect. He treated each song like a work of art, layering instruments and arranging vocal harmonies with precision. The emotional strain of ABBA's final years. By 1981, the emotional toll of ABBA's personal relationships was undeniable. The band's final studio album, The Visitors, released that same year, reflected the emotional frost that had set in. Songs like When All Is Said and Done and Slipping Through My Fingers carried an unspoken sadness, hinting at the dissolution of the group's once tight bond. Despite the lingering personal tensions, the band continued for another year, but something vital had already disappeared. The emotional collapse behind the music was palpable, and the sparkle that had once defined ABBA's sound was beginning to fade. The truth revealed, Benny speaks out. In November 2024, Benny Andersson broke his silence. In an interview with The Guardian, he finally revealed the truth about ABBA's breakup. It wasn't about betrayal, he said, but exhaustion. The band members had been running on empty for years. Marriages were falling apart, and the music was starting to feel artificial. Benny admitted that the band had reached a point where they couldn't continue without compromising their own well-being. "We were exhausted," he said. We needed to stop to preserve ourselves." Benny's candid admission brought closure to the decades of speculation and gave fans the answer they had long been waiting for. The breakup wasn't dramatic, it was simply an inevitable consequence of emotional depletion. The healing process. Benny's reflection. In a follow-up interview with Billboard in April 2025, Benny offered further insight into the final years of ABBA. He described the band's last 2 years as uninspired, with the creative energy that had once fueled them beginning to fade. The songs came more slowly and the studio sessions became routine. Benny referred to the band's decision to stop as an inevitable unraveling, and he emphasized that it wasn't a failure. There was simply nothing left to give. The emotional strain, he explained, had reached a point where they could no longer maintain the facade of joy. This revelation helped fans understand that the sadness in ABBA's final songs was not just artistic, it was real, reflecting the emotional collapse that had taken place behind the scenes. Frida's journey through grief and royalty. After ABBA's quiet dissolution, Frida embarked on a surprising journey into European royalty. In 1992, she married Prince Heinrich Rudzow of Plauen, becoming a member of European aristocracy. Her life as a princess, however, was not the fairy tale it appeared to be. Frida struggled with the rigid expectations of royalty, and the spontaneity that had defined her music career didn't fit into the structured world of aristocracy. The greatest heartbreak of her life came in 1998 when her daughter, Anne Lise, tragically died in a car accident. The loss left her devastated, and Frida sought solace in seclusion, far from the public eye. During this difficult time, Benny reached out to her, and their quiet reconnection offered comfort during a period of profound grief. ABBA's return, rebirth through ABBA Voyage. In 2018, after decades apart, ABBA stunned the music world by reuniting to record 2 new songs. The announcement marked the end of a 36-year silence and the beginning of an ambitious new project, ABBA Voyage. By 2021, Benny and Björn had composed a full-length studio album under the same name, and Benny took full control of production. But what set this reunion apart wasn't just the music, it was the groundbreaking performance model. ABBA Voyage was not a traditional concert. Instead, it was a digital experience that used motion capture and avatar technology to recreate the band's 1979 selves. The show has been a massive success, selling over 1.3 million tickets since its launch in 2022. Benny, ever the perfectionist, oversaw every detail to ensure the performance was emotionally authentic and technically flawless. The legacy of ABBA's music and Benny's reflection. Now at 78, Benny Andersson is no longer hiding behind the studio walls. In recent interviews, he has reflected on the emotional toll that his music career has taken. He admits that he used music as an escape, a way to express emotions he couldn't articulate. "I gave my best lines to songs," he once said, "not to the people who needed to hear them from me." This simple yet profound statement redefines Benny's legacy. He wasn't cold or distant, he was afraid to confront the emotions that lay beneath his music. This fear, he admits, ultimately contributed to the unraveling of ABBA. But by sharing his story, Benny is offering closure to fans, showing that the music was never about perfection, it was about survival.